These people you're seeing now are pretty terrified. Well, there are a few tribes around the world that really stump scientists from various fields as they try to understand them. But why do these tribes seem so strange to scientists and the entire world? Today, you're finally going to get that answer. So join us and check out the world's most terrifying tribes. Number 1. Ava-Canuero. Imagine a group of people living in the dense jungles of the Amazon, a place full of dangers and mysteries. This is the Ava-Canuero tribe. For many, it's almost impossible to imagine how anyone can survive in the tropical rainforest. But the Ava know every inch of their territory and fear no challenges. Without enjoying the benefits of civilization, and often without contact with outsiders, the Ava are masters of the art of hunting. Using bows and spears, they hunt wild animals and birds with impressive skill. For almost 500 years, the indigenous peoples of Brazil have fought to protect their lands from colonizers. When the Portuguese arrived, the Ava were one of the largest groups in the region, with a population of over 300,000 people. But against the armed invaders, they could do little. The colonizers soon recognized the strength and resilience of Ava men and started using them as slaves, killing those who resisted. Without immunity to the diseases brought by Europeans, the indigenous population was rapidly decimated. However, some managed to seek refuge in the dense forests, and their descendants still live there today. Sadly, the situation hasn't improved much today. The state of Maranhão has already lost 75% of its forest due to uncontrolled deforestation, putting the Ava at risk once again. This prompted the Brazilian government to finally take steps to prohibit logging in areas where these people live. Number 2. Asaro Mudmen. Let's talk about a group that lives completely off the grid, with a look that might spook even the bravest among us. These are the Asaro Mudmen, one of the most unusual tribes in Papua New Guinea. Located near the Asaru River, they come out of their forests annually to show off their unique costumes in the town of Goroka, drawing tourists from all around. Covered in river clay and wearing handmade masks, each piece reflects the spirit and temperament of its wearer. The display is both impressive and a bit terrifying. But where did this tradition of radically changing their appearance come from? According to Asaro Mudmen legend, it all started when they were attacked by an enemy tribe. Outnumbered, the survivors fled to the Asaru River, but didn't want to abandon their land. At night, they decided to strike back by surprise. They covered themselves in gray clay and emerged from the waters looking like ghostly figures. Believing they were evil spirits, the enemies fled in terror. Days later, when they returned and saw the Asaro covered in clay again, they ran away once more. From that moment on, the Asaro lands were safe. Realizing the power of their frightening appearance, the Asaro perfected their look by adding clay masks. Each mask is unique, made by its owner, and reflects their inner spirit. The Asaro Mudmen believe that their appearance not only scares away enemies, but also brings them closer to the spirits of their ancestors. Number 3. Chukchi. Numbering around 16,000 and mostly living in the Chukotka region of Russia, are the Chukchi people. For centuries, the Chukchi inhabited their lands stretching from the Bering Sea to the Indigirka River, and from the Arctic Ocean to the Anadyr and Anhui rivers. Their first significant contact with outsiders came in the 17th century, when the Russian army tried to conquer them and annex their land. Although they resisted, they accepted Russian sovereignty after Empress Catherine the Great granted them many benefits, and since then Chukotka has been part of Russia. The Chukchi are divided into two main groups, coastal and the Chonchu. The coastal Chukchi live in villages along the Pacific and Arctic Oceans, fishing and hunting large marine animals like seals, walruses, and whales. The Chonchu are semi-nomadic, spending the summer on the coast and the winter in the mountains, herding reindeer and occasionally hunting marine animals. Despite adopting modern technology like snowmobiles and satellite communication, Chukchi maintain a balance between modernity and tradition. Their villages have hospitals, schools, shops, and other essential services. At the same time, they preserve their culture by living in traditional houses called yarangas and practicing shamanism. They perform various rituals, from healing to daily practices, and their culture is rich in dances, music, and singing. They play traditional drums known as yarar, and practice a unique form of throat singing. The Chukchi show a remarkable ability to adapt to the harsh climate of their region and the modern world, while keeping their culture vibrant and alive. Number 4. Toda. In the Nilgiri Mountains in southern India, there are 18 indigenous tribes, among them the Toda, with a population of about 1,400 people. The origin of the Toda is a mystery even to anthropologists. They believe their ancestors were brought to the region with buffaloes by the bull god. The Toda stand out with their fair skin and green eyes, different from the other Nilgiri people. Since ancient times, they have raised buffaloes, which are sacred to them, using them only for milk, not for meat. They survive on fruits, honey, and milk, maintaining a special bond with the buffaloes. Each tribe member owns at least one buffalo, kept in an enclosure called teriri. Additionally, there are sacred buffaloes living in special temples. The milk from these buffaloes is considered healing and is used in rituals, showcasing the Toda's profound connection with these animals. The Toda believe that after death, each person is reborn in the body of a buffalo. When someone dies, their relatives sacrifice their buffalo, decapitate it, and bury the animal, then cremate the deceased over the buffalo's grave. They believe that the buffalo will carry the owner's soul to the constellation of Taurus, allowing them to be reborn as an animal in the next life. The reverence for the mother buffalo is reflected in the family structure, where women take the lead. Women can choose their husband or even multiple husbands, and have the right to reject their husband even if pregnant, selecting another man from the community who cannot refuse. Unfortunately, the Indian government is constantly trying to integrate the Toda into the modern world, but they resist, fearing they will lose their unique culture forever. Number 5. Himba. In northern Namibia, there's an African people called the Himba. They number about 40,000. Their history has been tough. They originally lived in East Africa, but had to move to Namibia after being attacked by enemies. In their new home, they faced more hardships. Many were killed, and then a severe drought wiped out their livestock. In the 1990s, the African government started to help them. The Himba have always been herders, raising cattle. The women do most of the work. They take care of the kids and animals, fetch water, and even build the houses. Their homes are rounded at the top and made from young trees covered with mud and animal dung mixed together. They resemble small caves. They believe in a single god named Mukuru. They perform rituals with sacred fire and have great respect for their ancestors. They love to adorn themselves, creating intricate hairstyles and wearing jewelry. They are known as the Red Earth people, because they cover their bodies with a mixture of red earth, fat, ashes, and a fragrant plant. This gives their skin a reddish hue, protects them from the sun, and symbolizes life for them. Even though they use some modern items, the Himba hold on to their ancient customs and don't let the modern world completely change their way of life. Number 6. Sami. The Sami are a small group, consisting of around 80,000 people. They stand out for maintaining their culture and identity, while enjoying the perks of modern civilization. It's believed that their ancestors arrived in the Arctic about 10,000 years ago, finding good conditions after the glaciers receded. While some moved to warmer areas due to global cooling, most stayed in the Arctic. They adapted to the challenging environment over centuries, dedicating themselves to fishing, reindeer herding, and hunting, depending on the region. Today, many work in cod fishing, and only about 10% still herd reindeer. The Sami speak their own language in addition to the languages of the countries they live in. The Sami language has 9 different dialects, some of which are so distinct that they can be incomprehensible to each other. The traditional clothing of the Sami, called juopa or kufta, includes a straight tunic made of wool or linen. In the summer, men wear a high-collared coat with an open chest, and in the winter, they wear a long jacket made from reindeer fur, always fastened with a leather belt. Women wear the juopa with a colorful dress over it. Culture and folklore are vital to the Sami. Adults pass down ancient legends and stories to children, who also receive a traditional song called a joik, dedicated to an animal, event, or object. Even living in modern cities, the Sami try to preserve and develop their traditional musical style, with new artists emerging in genres like experimental joik and hard joik. Despite adopting many aspects of modern civilization, the Sami remain true to their traditions, culture, and way of life. Number 7. Yanomami. The Yanomami are a community living in the Amazonian rainforest at the border of Brazil and Venezuela, being one of the world's most remote groups. About 35,000 people are spread across an area of 9.5 million hectares, forming small villages of 50 to 200 individuals. The group consists of 3 main tribes and many smaller ones. They identify themselves based on the territory they occupy. Traditionally, they practice agriculture, fishing, hunting, and gathering. They lead a semi-nomadic lifestyle, building temporary shelters and relocating periodically. Despite the hot and humid climate, they have adapted well. The men handle agriculture and house building, while the women plant and harvest vegetables. Their homes, called shabanos, are large circular structures with an open space in the center. These shelters are surrounded by worked wooden walls and have a common roof made of palm leaf. The Yanomami are known for being exceptional hunters, attracting animals by mimicking the sounds of other creatures. They use bows and arrows poisoned with curare as their main hunting tools. For fishing, they use a plant called timbo, paralyzes fish. In Yanomami culture, rituals are very important. In one specific ritual, boys have their ears pierced, while girls have their noses and lower lips pierced and adorned with sticks and feathers. Although the Yanomami are often seen as an aggressive people, experts believe that many conflicts arose after contact with Western culture. The arrival of explorers brought new resources and opportunities that generated disputes and tensions among the various Yanomami tribes. Number 8. Tasaday. In 1971, the Tasaday tribe caught the world's attention through the efforts of Filipino businessman and politician Manuel Elizalde. At the time, it was reported that the tribe had just over 20 members, lived in the forests near Lake Mindanao, and survived solely by foraging, without any knowledge of hunting or using primitive tools. This discovery captivated the media and anthropologists alike. Elizalde personally guided scientists to the location and allowed visits only in his presence, claiming that the tribe trusted only him. The scientists, fascinated, failed to notice that there were civilized villages close to the Tasaday caves. The tribe was studied for a long time but eventually faded from the spotlight. 15 years later, Swiss anthropologist Oswald Iten decided to revisit the caves of the Filipino Aborigines. Accompanied by journalist Joey Lozano and translator Galango Tikavoy, he discovered that the Tasaday were no longer there. They found the same individuals living in a nearby village, where they revealed that Manuel Elizalde had convinced them to pretend to be a primitive tribe. Thus, the hoax about the Tasaday tribe was uncovered. Number 9. Nenets. The Nenets are an indigenous group living in Siberia, along the coast of the Arctic Ocean, from Cape North to the Taimyr Peninsula. They are the largest group among the northern peoples of Russia, with over 40,000 people. Their traditional religion is animism, which is based on the belief that the world is full of spirits. For the Nenets, the protective spirits of nature have a significant impact on human life, and they perform rituals and sacrifices in their honor. Since ancient times, the Nenets have dedicated themselves to reindeer herding, hunting, and fishing. Reindeer are vital to their way of life, providing meat, hides, and transportation. They refer to themselves as children of the reindeer. Besides reindeer, they hunt various regional animals and birds, such as foxes and capercaillies. In Nenets families, men carry out heavy labor, care for reindeer, and hunt, while women sew clothes, bear hides, cook, and take care of the children. The Nenets live in homes called chum, which are conical structures with an opening at the top for smoke to escape. The chums are externally covered with skins, which help retain heat and protect against the wind. They have a rich folklore, full of songs, stories, riddles, and epics, like Yarupts and Shootbaps. Yarupts tells the adventures of a hero in search of a wife, while Shootbaps recounts the hardships and complicated childhood of another heroic figure. These stories are usually told in song form. The Nenets maintain contact with the rest of Russia and accept some aspects of modernity, but they remain true to their cultural tradition. Number 10. Korowai. The Korowai tribe resides in the dense forests of New Guinea and was only discovered in the 1970s. For more than 1,000 years, they lived isolated from civilization, following the laws of nature. To protect themselves from insects, predators, and other groups, they built their homes in trees, some up to 45 meters high. They believe that the higher the home, the more difficult it will be for evil spirits to reach them. These tree houses can accommodate families of up to 12 people and their pets. Building a new home is a special event. First, they cut down sago palm trees and leave the trunks near the swamps to fill with larvae, which they consider a gift from the goddess of wood. After collecting and eating the larvae in a ceremony, they receive blessings for construction. The Korowai live a simple life and follow traditions that may seem strange to us. They practice cannibalism only in response to attacks from other tribes. However, they are generally peaceful and do not initiate attacks on other tribes. Men hunt and build, while women take care of the children and the home. They also raise animals, such as wild pigs, which men capture and domesticate to carry loads, although they do not eat them. The average life expectancy in the tribe is just 30 years, possibly due to the habit of smoking palm leaves. Number 11. Waorani. The Waorani, also known as Huaorani, are a group of approximately 4,000 people living in the dense Amazonian forests of eastern Ecuador. Despite facing the challenges of life in the tropical rainforest and lacking the benefits of modern civilization, they strive to protect and preserve their territory. Living in harmony with the forest, the Waorani have developed impressive skills for climbing trees and finding food easily. Interestingly, over time, their feet have become completely flat. Some have developed extra fingers on their hands and feet. Hunting and gathering are carried out by the men, who use long blowguns to hunt monkeys, peccaries, and birds, but never parrots. Most of the Waorani live near the Napo River, a tributary of the Amazon. During the 20th century, some tribe members decided to approach civilization, building villages and accepting help from the Ecuadorian government. However, 4 subgroups chose to remain isolated, avoiding any external contact. Despite their differences, all the Waorani share a deep love for their land. About 40 years ago, they faced the invasion of their land due to oil discovery. Deforestation began, and the Waorani protested fiercely. In 1990, they were officially granted a reserve of about 2,365 square miles, overlapping with Yasuni National Park, thus ensuring the protection of their forests and way of life. Number 12. North Sentinel Island. In the Indian Ocean, on the Andaman Islands, there's a place called North Sentinel Island, home to a group known as the Sentinelese. They've been living there for thousands of years and are famous for avoiding contact with the outside world. The Sentinelese fiercely protect their land against outsiders. It's estimated that only about 42 people live there today, making them one of the oldest, but also one of the most threatened tribes. Surrounded by coral reefs and dense forests, the island has helped the Sentinelese stay isolated from modern civilization for a long time, preserving their tradition. First recorded attempt to contact them was in the 19th century when sailors shipwrecked nearby and were attacked as they tried to approach the island. They were rescued by a warship just in time. Researchers have been trying to make contact since the 1960s. But without success. The Sentinelese only accept gifts if there are no outsiders nearby. If they see anyone, they attack with bows and arrows. They have never shown any interest in joining the outside world. And, unfortunately, there have been incidents where people were killed for trying to get close. The latest was John Allen Chau, a 26-year-old American researcher who was killed during his attempt to contact the Sentinelese. Because of the threat they pose, the Indian government has banned visits to North Sentinel Island. Number 13. Mayaruna. Between the Javari and Galvez rivers, the border of Peru and Brazil, lives the Matses people, also known as the Mayaruna. This group consists of about 3,200 people. In recent years, the Matses have become more settled, building their houses with wood and palm leaves and dedicating themselves to hunting and gathering. They primarily hunt peccaries, using bows and poisoned arrows. The spirituality of the Matses is based on animism, where they believe that all beings and places have a spirit. They have a special respect for the spirits of animals and avoid offending them, following various hunting taboos. For the Matses, the world of plants, especially trees, connected to the spirits of animals. They make a variety of plant-based remedies to gain strength, courage, and health. The most common remedy is nunu, an inhaled tobacco made from the bark of a rare tree that only grows in their forests. The Matses had their first contact with civilization in the late 1960s, but this led to several deaths due to attacks on their land. After a change in government in Peru, the situation temporarily improved. In the 1990s, however, their lands were threatened again by deforestation. Thanks to joint efforts by Peru and Brazil, an area of about 457,000 hectares was officially recognized as Matses territory in 1998. Even so, legal hunters and curious onlookers still invade the forest, bringing diseases and causing death, as the Matses lack immunity to many modern infections. Today, a joint project between Brazil and Peru aims to protect this small group and preserve their way of life. Number 14. The Drogpas. The Drogpas, the last Indo-Aryan group, live in the region between India and Pakistan. Around 1,800 people, they avoid contact with other cultures to preserve their traditions. Discovered in 1830 by a British explorer, he believed they might be descendants of Alexander the Great's soldiers. The Drogpas are noted for their fair skin, large eyes, prominent noses, and tall stature. They practice a mix of animism and Buddhism. The elders still keep ancient rituals alive. Goats are vital to them, providing milk and hides. Their distinctive appearance includes colorful clothing and hats adorned with stones, silver, and flowers. These hats, worn by both men and women, indicate the wealth of the wearer. Music and dance are essential parts of Drogba culture. Every celebration includes traditional songs and dances, accompanied by drums and flutes. Through these, they pass on their stories to the younger generation. Unfortunately, due to isolation, the Drogba population is decreasing, which is a major concern. Are you subscribed to our channel yet? Hit that subscribe button now to stay updated on the coolest curiosities about our world. Well, that's it for now, and catch you next time. Various Minds.